Hey guys, this is Siren and welcome to the 5th episode of my Let's Play where we see if we can beat Pokemon Black 2 with only a Munchlax. The rules are the same as before, so anyways, let's get on with the video. The first attempt doesn't go great with Aliza sending out Emolga and me sending out Davide. We try to go for a workup, but the Emolga goes first and uses Volt Switch, which does minimal damage and switches out to Flaffy, and we use workup. Her Flaffy uses Volt Switch, which also does minimal damage and switches out to Emolga. And then we go for another workup, which is honestly a mistake I regret. At least it raises our stats. Her Emolga goes for another dang Volt Switch, and out comes her Flaffy again. And Davide goes for another workup, raises his stats, which I honestly should have tried to attack instead of raise our stats. Flaffy decides to use Thunder Wave, paralyzing us, which means we won't be able to move very long. God Anyways, the Flaffy decides to use Volt Switch again, which brings Davide down to below half health. And out comes out her Emolga as usual, and this time we decide to use her turn, knocking the Emolga out, thankfully. Next up is her Flaffy, who obviously decides to use Volt Switch, which brings us down to the yellow, and switches out, and out comes her 8th Pokemon, Zebstrika, and we're paralyzed. Her Zebstrika decides to use Pursuit, which does around 20 damage, and we're paralyzed again, and she decides to use Flame Charge, which still leaves us in the yellow, and it's a critical hit. The Zebstrika goes for another Flame Charge, and it gets a speed boost, and we're still paralyzed and can't move. The Zebstrika goes for another Pursuit, which brings us down to like 9 health, and we actually land a hit and use Rock Slide. The Zebstrika heals with a Citrus Spear on the next turn, and then decides to use Quick Attack, knocking us out. Alright, let's try that again. So, Aliza sends out Emolga, and we send out Davide. And the Emolga obviously decides to use Volt Switch again for the I don't know how many times now, which means the Emolga gets switch out, and out comes Flaffy, and we decide to work up again, raising our stats, which I don't think we actually do other. And then the Flaffy goes for another Volt Switch, which allows it to freely switch into Emolga, which we actually land a turn on and knock it out with the turn. Thankfully, one-shotting it. Next up is Flaffy, who obviously decides to use Thunder Wave, but we get a chance to use Work Up, which I feel like we should have used attacking moves, but at least it raises our stats. So anyways, the Flaffy goes for a Volt Switch as usual and gets a free switch in, goes back to Lisa, then sends out her Ace Zebstrika, and we use the turn, which one-shots it, knocking the Zebstrika out. Finally is her Flaffy, and our Quick Claw allows us to go first, but we end up getting bad luck from paralysis, and the Flaffy uses Takedown, which doesn't do very much but gives her recoil damage, and one return is enough to knock this thing out, bringing us this battle. That was quite hard. So that concludes it for this video. The next episode will be in Driftvale City Gym. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.